More images from the day the felon passes, streets filled with celebrations, and numbers even bigger than the No Kings protests, and Vance gets scared. Let's look into all that. Welcome to Scrying Out Loud. My name is Trevor. First off, a huge thank you to everybody who's subscribed to the channel. Thank you for liking, watching, commenting on the videos. If you've been promoting the channel through your social media, a huge, huge thank you. It has not gone unnoticed. Um, so as I was scrying this morning, I keep getting some of the same images over and over again with regards to the day that the felon passes. And June's usually my like height of intuitive months. I'm not exactly sure why that is. It kind of is. And the fact that I keep getting these images, and I don't always talk about them when I get them, uh, kind of makes me think that, things might be closer than I think, or had originally predicted. I'm thinking late August through sometime in early November, somewhere in that time frame. Um, Perhaps it's sooner. But the images I get it looks like it's a very sudden passing. It looks like he falls, um, hits his head um, on, either, a bathroom sink or a commode, something along those lines. And I can see the blood coming from kind of the temple area of his face. And when they find him, there's like a state of shock at first. They realize that he's gone. And then I think this is very early in the morning, like, 6 or 7, something like that, maybe even earlier. Um, and it does feel like there's a little bit of rays of sunlight. So it's like the dawn. So we could maybe judge the time on that based on the month that he goes, but it feels something along those lines. And but they withhold the announcement. They don't actually announce that he's passed until it feels like something closer to noon. I get images of the stores with the fall decorations, but I also see uh, a text message asking about where do you want to meet for lunch. So it's probably around a little bit before lunchtime. And yeah. And then the other image that I keep getting, well, this is sort of new actually. I've always seen people taking to the streets, but this was people taking to the streets in numbers that were bigger than the No Kings protest. And it's all over the country. And it's in celebration. It's jubilation. It's people chanting things like ding dong, the witch is dead. Um, People saying felon no more. Um, Thank God the felon is gone. These kind of sayings are going throughout. And then there's an image of Vance standing in the Oval Office watching, maybe it's like the dining room off the Oval Office, somewhere in that range, definitely in the White House, of watching TV and the people just taking to the streets. And it's like this overwhelming fear sets into him as he's seeing how hated the felon actually was and how hated he probably is. So let's throw a few cards on this. Let's first just ask, does the felon go in like quickly, like in an unexpected? Is it unexpected? Does the felon pass unexpectedly? So I do think that he's very ill, and I think that's contributing to this, but I don't think it's going to be like he's, contemplating hospice care or something like that. I think he goes very quickly. Just go. Does the felon go quickly? it feels like that. It feels a little bit unexpected. Um, yeah, I see the Page of Cups in the water, which of course is about bombshells and surprises. I think the news is surprising to a lot of people. I think people actually take the day off of work or their employers just let them go for the day in some cases to join the protest. You get the Ten of Swords, the end of a dark cycle, and it happens quickly. It's the first card. So um yeah, and then the Five of Swords. This is the card that I was shown for dementia. It's like that has some sort of effect. Like I think it affects his balance maybe, and therefore, this incident of falling is kind of as a result of this. And who are we talking about? We're talking about the Felon, the King of Pentacles. That's this good confirmation that we're reading on the right things. Yeah, it happens really fast, the Knight of Swords. It's like um, nobody's expecting it. It'll be like the news is covering something, and then it's like, breaking news. He's he's gone. It's not kind of like Pope Francis where we kind of thought it was going to happen soon there for a while. Of course, he made it out of the hospital the first time, like I kind of thought he would. And then he later passed, but it wasn't completely unexpected. I think this will be somewhat unexpected. I think we're all waiting for this moment. I think uh, a lot of the world wants this energy to be gone, the hangman. We've talked about that before. We're all kind of in this state of pause and suspension. We're all just waiting for this event to happen so that we can move forward. It feels like it's impossible to move forward with the way things are. The immediate reaction feels a little bit anxious. I think that is a little bit normal, but I think it then turns to jubilation. Uh, People start thinking about this logically and what it means. And, there's going to be a lot of jockeying and fighting, almost instantaneous to try to influence junior varsity Vance. And the Constitution is very clear. That's the only person that can become president. I'm sorry if you think something else, but it's very clear. Um, and the Seven of Cups, this illusion and delusion finally bursts. It's like we can kind of get back to reality. We're no longer kind of walking on eggshells, wondering what's going to be said next. So the dark cycle ends, it ends quickly. We come out of this waiting period and we're back into reality where we can envision a world where decisions are being made for sane reasons. Um, it's like logic kind of returns after the state of pause is gone and the felon is gone. It's like we can kind of start to like actually foresee the events of tomorrow. Like things aren't going to be as unpredictable. I do think there's some balance issues because of some frontal lobe problems. Not a medical doctor's tarot reading, but I feel like that's what's going there. I think people around him had anxiety about him potentially uh, falling, but it happens very quickly, and it comes as a surprise to everybody. And then almost immediately, it's jockeying to try to influence Vance, and we'll get to that at the end. So I do think it happens really quickly. There's going to be the celebrations, the families, and the reunions with the Ten of Pentacles. Also, the end of a cycle and the inheritance card, which all seem to come along every time we read something adjacent to his health. So I don't think that I think the way he dies is kind of not because he's not ill, but it's sudden and it's quick. It's more like a fall. and then it's over. So I don't think I think for a lot of us it won't be completely unexpected, but the way he goes, I think, is a little bit unexpected. And uh, it's not like we're going to be hearing that I think we'll be hearing that he's ill leading up to it, but I don't think it'll be coming from Republicans. I think they'll keep it really tight to the vest. Okay, what do we need to know about these celebrations in the streets, this jubilation? What do we need to know? It's almost like, everyone can breathe again, and it's very spontaneous and almost immediate. It starts out, rather small with people taking to the streets and the big cities, and then it later turns to just nationwide huge celebrations. Um, People will be calling him the felon, a traitor. Um, there won't be much love loss, that's for sure. Now, the people that will grieve will probably do that indoors because it will very much feel like they're the minority at this point. And I think they already are. Uh, His approval rating keeps going down and down and down. So, okay, what do we need to know about these celebrations? It's like people kind of already are planning them, right? It's kind of behind the scenes action. People are just waiting for it to happen. That's that hanged man energy. Uh, the celebrations will be meant to send a message to the new president. That will be the purpose of them. That's why they'll grow. That's how the social media platforms will promote it, is let's go to the street to send a message that we want a complete 180 from the way we were going. And it'll be fiery, it'll be loud, it'll be passionate, and it will be huge. It will be bigger than the No Kings protests. And it will send a message. Very much so. I think this is why I'm getting the image of Vance being scared. It changes the course of history. Of course it does, but I mean it changes the direction in which the government is heading as well. Um, there'll be just a ton of support for these celebrations, whereas, normally we don't go to the street to celebrate things like this, but it's almost like, a Margaret Thatcher or even worse, uh, the name's eluding me, but when big dictators fall, the celebrations that happen. The Queen of Cups uh, comes out. I think Democratic lawmakers will handle it slightly more gracefully than the public. Uh, but this changes everything, the Tower card. It really tears down the structure that Republicans and MAGA have been holding on to. It lets them know that that's not what the people want. And it's wishes fulfilled with the Nine of Cups. So it's kind of like it's already in the planning. People are already thinking, how will I react when this happens? It changes the course of history and it's kind of a wish fulfilled. Now, I don't think that means that, all of a sudden junior varsity Vance is governing like a Democrat. I don't think that at all. I think the Democrats handle it a little bit more tactfully, but they know that the message that is out in the streets is changing things. I think this towers about the destruction of the MAGA way of thinking, at least within a small minority of Republicans that are in charge, but enough to make a difference. The support is on the people celebrating side, and it's sending a very clear and very loud message to the new president that we don't want a continuation of this. We want something different. And I think it'll be very cathartic for the nation in the world. I think it'll be a very healing energy. Okay, so I've always seen Vance capitulating and going away from these hardcore principles, mostly out of self-survival, but I know a lot of people disagree with me on that, and that's fine. Uh, now the things that he agrees with some of the tech bros on, he might do, but like the other more extreme stuff, he's not gonna do that. He's smart enough to know that when he's president, he's the one that's in charge. He's the one with the power. He's not gonna be. I don't feel like he's being blackmailed, or at least if he is, it's not something that's super serious. I think he's very shady. I think he's going to make a terrible president. But I do think that I think he gets scared. So does Vance get scared? What do we need to know about that? It's like I can see him like almost trembling as he's watching this. Like he can't believe how much pent up hate there was for the felon and the felon's policies. It's like it takes things by surprise. I think this is partially because the economy starts to get a little bit worse, inflation goes up, and a lot of people that voted for him realize they got nothing out of the deal. They didn't get cheaper prices and really nothing to show for any of the presidency will go down as nothing. What of the fallout is it? Yeah, it's like stability returns the Four of Pentacles or sanity. Well, just in the sense of like it's predictable what a President Vance would do. Not that it's good, because I'm not saying that at all. I'm just saying it's predictable, and predictability is really what a lot of people want. Yeah, it's a new beginning, a new partnership, and he has a new way of thinking about this. I don't think he really ever shared the felon's viewpoints. I think he just does what he wanted to do to, or did what he needed to do to get into power. I think that's what that was all about. Uh, Justice and the environment around things start to level out, the chaos starts to decrease. He sees the judgment from what the felon has done, and I think that's why he won't continue. In fact, I think he'll stop some of the policies that are already in place. It's like this is his chance to define himself. Most people won't know who he is. That's just the education system in the United States. Most people can't name the vice president, and most people definitely can't name the secretary of state, et cetera, et cetera. Um, there will be questions about what he knew about the felon, though, and the felon's health, the Five of Swords. Yeah, it's a new beginning. It's also a new financial reality for the world. I think we'll see a lot of these tariffs pulled back, trade deals renegotiated, all the stuff kind of coming back to the status quo. It's wish fulfillment for the world, um, that he starts to act a little bit more rationally. I think the seeds have already been planted for him, with the No Kings protest and other protests that, um, while he's trying to stay on the good graces of the felon, because, it's possible the felon makes it a full term in his mind. I don't think that's what's going to happen. Uh, he'll need that support to run for president in 2028. So that's why he's been acting the way he's been acting. It's only a self-serving thing. That makes it somewhat worse, to be honest with you, but he's going to want to get reelected. So he'll be thinking about that, working hard on how he can establish himself and seen as an expert, so to speak, instead of as junior varsity. There's going to be a lot of fighting around these policies, renegotiations. So new partnerships There'll be lots of questions about what he knew, and he's going to work hard to try to define himself in a new light to kind of remove him from the felon. There's going to be wish fulfillment for the people in the streets and the world as he distances himself from the felon and the judgment that he sees in the streets of the felon and the felon's policies. The seeds have already been planted there. He's already thinking about what would happen because he sees these large protests. He knows that he wouldn't win an election under the current situation. And ultimately, that's what it's about for him. Uh, the fates will hand him the presidency. This is kind of a new financial beginning for the world. Like markets kind of stabilize. I think they probably do a big drop, for a day or two, and then they come back up and they stabilize once they realize that things are going to level out and we're going to return to this more homeostasis type environment where things are predictable. So, yeah, I think it's going to surprise us all when he goes. I think Vance is also going to be somewhat of a surprise, and not that he's going to be good. I don't think that. And I think the large amount of people celebrating the passing of the felon is what helps to mold Vance's viewpoints. So, all right. Thank you for watching. I'll be back with another video soon.